Right, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit chilly, Joe, and I have dressed more for the weather than you have. Joe is wearing a beautiful floral shirt over a gorgeous Dolly Parton t-shirt. So, you know, it's a good aesthetic, but we are on a slightly windy, chilly day in the Portsmouth harbour area.
There's a very optimistic ice cream van parked up over there. But,
now, as a Portsmouth native, Joe, is this the kind of weather that we can expect?
I wish I could say no, but I think it is, yeah. This is Portsmouth. I walked in here today thinking I'm going to show Lucy how wonderful Portsmouth is and how beautiful it is. And because I'm very proud to be from Portsmouth and I'm proud of the city. First thing I saw was a seagull eating a dead pigeon when I walked in here. And I thought, this is my hometown.
Well, there are two sides to it. It's beautiful and it is incredibly impressive. I've never been to this area of Portsmouth before, and a couple of things I didn't realise. Firstly, that there is a working naval base here. So you walk in from the train station and you do actually walk past proper barbed wire, and there's a thing about the security threat is heightened. And
I think it's been heightened for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this. Did you know the Victory is a commissioned naval ship? Is that right? I think that's right.
They could
that's
still
my fact.
press it into service.
Yeah, if things get really tough, it could be sent out to go to war.
Yeah, because I thought, look, now this is going to show how lacking my historical knowledge is. I was looking at that and I was going, is that the Mary Rose? And I'm like, oh no, that's a couple of hundred years too late. So the Victory is the first thing you see.
The Victory is a commissioned naval ship. That's what has the ensign flag on the back. And that was Nelson's.
Yes.
That's about all I've got. So I know the Warrior is the other one, and the Mary Rose is undercover.
Yeah, because we haven't actually seen the Mary Rose.
Not yet, no.
So, well, I can't wait to get inside, to be honest.
Me neither. Partly because I'm cold.
Yeah, let's get you in your floral shirt inside in the warm. Hi, I'm comedian and writer Lucy Porter.
And I'm comedian Joe Wells. And this is
Meet Me at the Museum. We love it. Okay, well, here we are. Walking through.
Going in.
Oh, I tell you what, I like the gift shop. They're straight in with the shortbread, which I fully approve of.
I like it a lot. There's a man who I think works for the museum who is dressed in Tudor gear.
Yeah, a bit of velvet, some hose.
I hope
and
he works for the museum.
No. I mean, if I like dressing up in Tudor costume, I would just come and hang around.
This is where you could come, yeah.
Yeah, nice. There's cafe, there's a gift shop. And there's some friendly-looking ladies on the reception, so I think we should head in. Hello, we have our national art passes.
Yes, that's absolutely fine. So you get 50% off your annual Mary Rose ticket, okay? And it's valid for the whole year, so you can come in as many times as you like. Fantastic. So I'll just get your ticket, okay?
Oh, we shall be back. That's good to know. We can come as many times as we like.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, hopefully you do. All right, there you go. Fantastic. And enjoy your visit.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Okay, so Joe, I wanted you to come here, A, just to hang out with you and have a great time.
Thank you.
B, because obviously you live locally and you might be able to bring some Portsmouth knowledge to the whole thing.
I'll try.
But also, I know very little. Okay, I know that the Mary Rose was a Tudor ship that sank and then they brought it, or some of it, I don't even know what we're going to see or how much we're going to see, but I know we're going to see some actual ship that was at the bottom of the ocean. And we're also going to find out about some new revelations about the people who are on the ship, which has come to light in recent times. So that's all I know.
I was told that it sank because they moved over one side to wave as they were going out of the harbour. And that was what was taught to us at school. I don't think that's true now. It's one of those things which I learned, and as an adult I've realised that's probably not the reason.
True. I really hope that we find
they all went over to wave to the king and it tipped it over, yeah. But
so there's a lot for us to find out. Also, I know nothing at all about the Tudors. Joe, I am excited.
I am too. I was 10 years old, I think, when I last came here.
Wow.
And I remember very, very little from it. The only thing I remember, and I know this is bringing the tone of this podcast down, but there was a big model of Henry VIII, and he had like a big, I guess like a codpiece.
Yeah.
And class of 30 10-year-olds, that was the funniest thing that we'd ever seen.
Listen to a 46-year-old woman here, still really amused by the idea of a massive
I'm very excited
codpiece.
about seeing it again. I think I've seen some of the greatest comedians in the world, but nothing is as funny as that model.
The King's codpiece. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't what I was excited about, but now, actually, funnily enough, I am. Well, because, I mean, I love something that you can get to grips with and touch and walk through. Not the codpiece. Oh, for goodness sake. I mean, I love to be able... But I love a museum where... you're sort of in amongst something, and I kind of feel like we're going to get to actually feel like we're on a ship at some point. Right, well, let us hold off no longer. Let's go and have a look at that codpiece.
Let's go.
And indeed the ship. Let's head in, right. Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's dark, actually. So there's stats are here. Henry VIII's warship Mary Rose, 34 years as a king's ship, 437 years underwater, 35 years in conservation. So that's from launch in 1511 to dry at last in 2017.
Because when I remember, I came here as a child, and that was before it was dry at last.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of fog. That was mainly what I remember
Was
seeing
it being
as a child.
hosed down at
It
the
was,
time?
yeah,
because they had to keep it wet.
And I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think they were allowed to have a lot of lights on it. So it was all in the dark.
Okay, so we'll see how dark or otherwise it is. Yeah, because raised 1982, that's what I remember seeing on the telly. I remember the hoo-ha. Okay, so here we are, and I have to say, first impressions of the museum, what's the first thing we see?
We see the codpiece.
Isn't that amazing? They know what the public want, don't they? Look at me. So there's Henry VIII, as we remember him, big and fat, and with an enormously protruding...
That is very funny, isn't it?
Good Lord, it's like he's thrusting it at you, isn't it? So he's dressed in his fine furs and ermine. Should we go
kind
and...
of gangster rap to the look, I think.
Let's go and have a look, yeah.
I don't want this to kind of medallion. It's got H's in the... I don't know.
Yeah.
That can't be historically accurate, can it, to have H's? That is something a rapper would have.
It really is, isn't it? And the fur coat absolutely is a kind of rapper accessory. But the tights, very much not.
Do you know, when I was at school, we had Tudor Day.
Yeah.
And my mum told me the Tudors, the men all wore tights. So all the other boys in the class, they'll be wearing tights as well. And I went, are you sure, Mum? Because I don't think the other boys will wear tights. The other boys weren't wearing tights. And I was the only one that went in wearing tights.
And a massive codpiece. Yeah. All the other boys just had codpieces.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, do you know what, though? That's made you the man you are today, hasn't it?
It's made me a comedian. It's always nice for me now going to museums as an adult because I didn't properly enjoy them. I didn't enjoy anything growing up, so now I can go back to them and enjoy them, enjoy the things that I should have enjoyed when I was a child. So I had quite a difficult childhood where I had lots of mental health problems. I had OCD, struggled with that a lot, and as an adult I found out that I was autistic, and it was one of those things where you look back on your childhood and go, oh, of course, that's all these things. Now I've got a story for all of these things. I've been trying to work out why I was a bit unusual as a child. And then you kind of have this, you read a few things and you go, oh, of course, it all makes sense my whole childhood now. Yeah.
Well, because I also had OCD as a teen, sort of from about 10 to 13 really was the height of it. I mean, and still have tendencies to kind of ritual and magical thinking and stuff like that, because also a lot of it was the religious upbringing, which I had that as well, of the fear of damnation and losing your soul and all of that stuff.
I think that OCD kind of attaches itself to whatever you're kind of worrying about culturally, so I think that if it hadn't have been religious things, it would have been something else, so and we all have those. There's a spectrum, isn't there? We all have those intrusive thoughts, the one I have now as a kind of left-wing person. Do you have this? When you vote, do you go away going, why did I voted for the BNP or something like that? Do you have that? But that's the new kind of just little intrusive thought I have when I vote. I go, what if I voted for UKIP?
I see some doors in front of us which say 19th of July 1545, the day the Mary Rose sank. So I think we're about to see some action. Shall we head in?
Let's head in.
Okay. So this is the day the music died. This is the... I love an introductory movie. Yeah. I think this is one of the things that's really changed about museums since I was a kid. Was there was no short films as I remember. I mean, I'm going back to the early 80s now. You see, Joe, where museums were really there was nothing like just the idea of being able to watch a telly would have been unspeakably exciting to us. Right, we're in.
Game 3.
Okay, so...
gunshots.
Oh, it's a big screen. This is great. It's like Leicester Square. 19th of July, 1545. And there's an animation of the ship. Oh, look, over she goes. Oh, God, they've cut straight to the money shot. There we go. Water flooding in. It's like a Guinness ad, actually. Oh, no, and look, there's people trying to get out. More than 500 men on board. Only 35 survived. It's quite a sombre beginning, isn't it? And it's directing us in. There's a big white arrow telling us to get out. Lovely. So we've whetted our appetites there with a few of the exhibits, but now comes the point, Joe, where we get to actually see the ship itself.
I'm very excited.
I am too. Here we go. Oh my goodness. It's so... because it's very dark and atmospheric.
It is. I can see a cannon. Oh my God.
Yeah. Holy moly. Oh my
Wow.
God, it's enormous. Wow. Okay. And
That's
it's like a
incredible.
ghost ship. It's so... that actually does make me feel a little bit shivery, just...
Definitely haunted.
It's so... I'm glad there's a big glass wall, and then just the most enormous ship I've ever... I mean, not the most enormous ship I've ever seen, but an enormous ship. I mean, it's extraordinary, and it's like it is a skeleton. So it's just bits of wood and some sort of steel bits holding it up.
It looks like a kind of... if there was like a ghost ship in Scooby-Doo or something like that.
Exactly
that is what it would
that.
look like.
Exactly that. Oh, Shaggy, I'm not feeling brave at all. I don't know what I was expecting. It's a lot more intact than I had thought. So it does look like the skeleton of a ship. What did they say? Like 500 people on it at any given time, and that is not a lot of space for 500.
The ceilings,
people.
I know people were short of them, but the ceilings are quite low as well. They're
I'd
very
be
small,
fine. You would struggle, but
I'd be banging my head.
I'm only 4'11". I could happily scuttle about like the ship's rat. So 40 years ago, this ship that we see before us was dragged up from the bottom of the sea where it had lain for hundreds of years, and I think we are actually going to speak to someone who was on the excavation team at the time who witnessed it emerging from the waters.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, Head of Research Alex Hildred is here, I believe.
Hello,
Lucy. Lovely to meet you.
Hello, hi.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
You're welcome. I love your reaction to the ship. It's so big.
my
That's absolutely
God.
wonderful.
Well, it kind of creeps up on you as well. It's really well done. That
I was
you
looking
just...
to the left,
Yeah.
and on the left there's some cannons with some kind of models of like what a ship might look like. And I saw that and thought, that's... and then I looked to my right and it all hit me at once.
Well, the whole idea is you've got a virtual gallery here, which is the same space as over there. And the objects that you see there are actually the real objects that we excavated from exactly opposite on the ship. The misconception, though, is the width of the ship, and that's because actually the whole of that hull should come right up against this glass wall, and the middle of the ship is about where those people are standing, so it's only 12 metres wide. This gives you an sort of accentuated width, which isn't really there.
I see. Oh, good. But so, I mean, we reacted quite strongly just to seeing it here today, but you were there seeing it emerge from the water. What was that like?
Well, it was amazing. Actually, the excavation was amazing. If you actually look there, you can see on those things that look like ribs, there are 3 little red tags.
Yeah.
That's all the team in 1971 saw of the ship, and everything else was buried and on its side. So you're seeing it upright, and you're looking at the hold and then 4 decks. of a doll's house version of the ship, because the other side basically deteriorated in time because the ship went down on its right-hand side, its starboard side, and it was entirely buried. So our museum runs on volunteers, but there were 500 volunteer divers who helped by hand to move all that sediment and expose the ship and then lift it. So it was actually the most fantastic feat of endurance and of love, really, by all these people who maybe only stayed for 2 weeks, some of them, like me, stayed for 40 years.
Wow, 40 years of involvement. So when did you first get involved then?
In 1979 as a volunteer diver. So
you were actually down there?
Yeah. And at the end of the 1979 season, I was asked to stay on as staff, and I've stayed on ever since. What we're hearing now is our attempts to make the ship come alive by projecting images into the exact space where the people who are doing things. So you've got the carpenter in one thing, sawing, for example, or the surgeon in his surgery up there taking somebody's tooth out. So we actually have got 66 different little tiny vignettes which we project into the ship, so you can hear the sounds and see the people. Because the one thing that's missing from what you're looking at, the hull of the Mary Rose, are the people and the objects. We put the objects opposite, but it's making it come alive.
Well, and it adds to the very ghostly feeling of it, that you sort of see the projections come and go.
Yeah, so it's now preparing for battle. You can hear the guns beginning to go. So we're in the midst of the battle here. And you'll soon see archers beginning to shoot the longbows in the waist over there, and the big guns are being prepared, the handguns. There's the carpenter shooting through his little window.
So I grew up around here, and I was told by my teacher in Year 6 that the reason the ship sank was because everyone waved at the king, and they went to one side of the ship, and that tipped it over. Is that true?
Well, if you think of being like a mile out in the Solent and looking back at the shore, do you think you could see somebody on a horse and wave to them?
No.
Probably not. We have no evidence for that. We did find a lot of people towards one side, but that's because when the ship basically turned on its side,
they all tipped one way.
Everything fell to that side. So we would find, all the shot, we've got over a 1,200 shot of stone and iron for the big guns. That all fell to one side, taking people, trapping people. One of our most important characters has got a damaged skull because of all the shot that he was found next to. So, yes, we found people like that, but no, there's no evidence that number of people was either too many for the ship, because it's on you've got 415 listed, and the 500 crew list for the cook. So 500 isn't going to be too much.
Right.
The thing that really clinched it, if you look at those big square portholes there, so those are the gun ports, and all of the lids of those were found when eventually we tunneled under the ship, hinged open. So whatever happened and why she got into the situation where she suddenly slightly turned, water entered through the gun ports. Had they been closed, the Mary Rose would have probably been able, been okay now. But and have left nothing on the seabed for us. The reason why the Mary Rose is important is because we've got her, and we've got her because this awful catastrophe happened in 1545. So, to a certain extent, that catastrophe has given us this most wonderful slice of Tudor life. And there's the carpenter. You can see he's sawing. And did you hear the woof?
Yes.
That's our very own dog from Scooby-Doo.
Right. Did you find the dog? You found the dog?
I actually was one of the ones who helped excavate the dog. Yeah, one dog.
Just one dog?
Outside the carpenter's cabin. And that cabin, which we'll be able to see if we walk down the deck in a minute, it had a sliding door. And this is how personal the Mary Rose is. There was a little wedge keeping the door open in the runner.
Gosh.
Wow.
It is like, also, once you get to that tipping position and water comes in and you've got a sailing ship, the sails all go down and then the water gets onto the sails and pushes it over and pushes it over. And it must have been horrendous. This is a peace episode, so this is the ship at peace before the battle begins, and you've got the ship's band, and this is because we found a fiddle and some tabors, which are the drums, and some recorder-type pipes, And so
I mean, I'm not wishing to disparage them, but that's, wouldn't get far on Britain's Got Talent, would it?
that's the shawm. Yes, the still shawm, but nobody's heard that instrument ever before because one hasn't been found, and it was only known in history books. So we found one.
What's it called?
Made a shawm, a still shawm or a doucerne.
Oh my God!
And so it's the only one, and we can recreate the sound, and we can have a ship's band that sort of sounds harmonious. You're right; it wouldn't.
I mean,
it wouldn't
yeah.
stand.
So, Alex, this year you have discovered new information has come to light about some of the crew members.
Yes, of our 9 crew members that we've got facial reconstructions for, we found out that actually 3 of them were probably not born in England, and one of them, he was born in England. He lived in England as a child, but his father was born in North Africa. So 2 of them are sort of Southern European, and because of the objects found with them, we think one was Spanish and one was from Italy, and then the other one completely off the radar because he was wearing an Arms of England wrist guard. His isotope analysis from his teeth suggesting the climate he was in when he was born and when he grew up. So it actually looks as though it was North Africa, and that's where we expect. And so we're actually furthering that with looking at DNA on him at the moment. So hopefully we'll get the answers of that sometime next year. Now we've got 2 members of the crew who possibly have this North African link. It really is beginning to look quite much more cosmopolitan than we expected.
I must admit, I assumed that everyone would be white and had an idea of what the crew would look like, and obviously that's not the case. And I think we have this idea of Englishness being this thing which has existed forever, and obviously it's not. It's kind of evolved as an idea and become different things, and has always been changing.
Like the fact that when they were doing the reconstructions, they gave everybody palish skin, and now they're going back and saying, well, actually, do you know what? Maybe they weren't actually pale. Maybe they were North African or Southern European. It's just sort of quite interesting, isn't it, about what we presume about England back in the olden days. And actually, it's always been quite a sort of multicultural or place of flux, especially in Portsmouth and ports, actually. There've always been people coming and going from all over the world.
I suppose that's what Englishness is, if it's anything. It's a composite idea, isn't it? It's lots of cultures coming together to make this thing, and that's what it is now, and that's possibly what it's always been.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think it's time to let you guys loose and see what you think of it by yourself. I'm going to catch up with you in one of my favourite places, and that's sort of 2 decks up on the upper deck, where we're right open to the wind and the weather and everything else, and a completely different group of people.
Wow.
So I'll see you later. Have a good trip.
See you there.
Lovely. Thank you, Alex. See you later.
Thank you.
So we've had a look around a few of the artefacts here.
We have.
And the surgery that you were so interested
I
in,
want to see
Joe.
some gruesome things, yeah.
We've had a little taster of some implements, but it's not really got gory.
No,
or
there's no
morbid
severed
enough for
arms.
you. No, that's
But,
what you want to see. Let's head off and see if we can find something a bit more gritty.
This is what I've been looking for, some gruesome things.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this.
Is that the bone saw?
It's exactly, that's exactly that. That's just what it is, a bone saw.
Wow.
Yes. So these are replicas of stuff that the doctor would have had on board the ship, the Barber-surgeon. They're all replicas, but they're made from the same materials.
Wow.
And yes, that is a bone saw.
Amazing. Now, you, sir, I will explain to our listeners, are dressed in Tudor gear.
Yes, I am. I'm dressed as a Tudor gentleman.
Now, you do work here. Let's just establish
I do work
that
here.
you do. Excellent.
This kit I'm wearing probably doesn't suit the role I'm in at the moment. But yes, I'm a Tudor gentleman. I swan around the museum entertaining people.
How fantastic. What's your name?
Simon.
Hello, Simon.
Yeah,
I'm
hi.
Lucy.
Hello, Lucy.
I'm Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Simon, thank you
Yeah.
very much for talking us through this stuff.
No worries.
Am I allowed to touch this?
You certainly are. It's a
Okay.
handling table. You can touch them.
Wow.
That's a flesh knife. Okay.
Knife.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. A lot of things do exactly what they say on the tin. That's a flesh knife.
So you would hack away the flesh?
Yes. I could
So-
use that to cut down to the bone,
Okay,
draw
so-
the flesh back,
Ooh.
then take the bone saw, and amputate your arm.
Cool,
And I
Lord.
would have had a hot iron in the braising dish there, cauterise the wound, and away you go.
Oh, I'm feeling a little bit. Now, Joe's
You make it
picked
sound
up.
very simple, don't you? So away you go.
Joe, hi, yeah.
I've got a big hammer.
Big wooden mallet, Joe, you
Yeah.
have. Yes, they found a wooden mallet in a Barber-surgeon's chest on board the ship. And I'll show you exactly what they use the mallet for.
I'm a
It's
little
not-
bit scared.
it's-
Yeah,
you,
I'm
and you
moving
should
away.
be, Joe. You know, it's not very nice, but I'll show you what they would do.
Okay.
I don't know what part of my body's to cover
Yeah.
before.
If you had damaged your finger in the rigging, let's just pretend, all right, and they were going to amputate your finger, they wouldn't amputate it in a normal way, hack away at it. They would put it on a table, put a knife over it,
Oh my.
yes, and whack the knife with the mallet to cut it off cleanly. That's what the mallet was for.
Wow.
Very nice. Plus some other jobs, I'm sure, but that's basically what it was used for.
Well, if I ever
Okay?
need to amputate in a hurry, then
Joe,
I
you can get a
know how
shave.
to do it.
That's
On board
good.
the ship, yeah,
Well,
get a shave.
what's this?
Yeah,
Is
that's
this?
sort of like the Tudor equivalent of shaving cream, if you like, sort of
Right.
like a blubber, whale blubber sort of stuff. I don't know quite what it is. What that is. A badger hair shaving brush.
Lovely.
Okay? And the Tudor equivalent of the Gillette G2. Yeah,
So that's also what you'd use
Yeah.
to amputate the fingers
absolutely.
and then give someone a good
yeah.
shave afterward. Right.
And then
wow.
this doesn't look that scary, but I'm sure
It
you're going
is
to make
scary.
it scary. This
Yes,
is
I'll
a
make
tiny
it-
little. It's like a toothpick, is it? not
I'll
just a
make it
toothpick?
scary. It's actually a needle. Yeah. Do you see there?
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
The
They
eye
could
of
use.
it. yeah.
They could have used that for all sorts of things.
For
Yeah.
stitching people up.
Absolutely, and even for working away from the barber surgeon's cabin with this tool. Yeah, that's what they would use that for.
Well, you certainly are knowledgeable. You know
I
your
am.
stuff. And how long have you been volunteering?
About
at
5
the-
years or so.
Is it? Wow, goodness
Yeah.
me!
I
And how
enjoy
did
it
you
as
get
well.
into it?
I had a brain hemorrhage a while back. Yes, and my psychologist suggested that I fill my time doing something worthwhile and substantial.
Well, gosh.
Yes, and I've inserted myself in a museum ever since, and they can't get rid of me. You know? So
Oh
I know
my
it's just
goodness.
done me a world of good.
Wow, and so were
Fantastic.
you a keen historian before that?
No,
or has
no,
this been-
keen wouldn't be the right word. I'm interested in history, certainly. It wasn't my job beforehand, but yeah, I love history.
Gosh, and
Yeah.
are you well on? I hope. Well, you seem great now. Are you well on the way
Yes.
to recovery?
I am. I'm getting better and better, and a lot of it's down to the museum. I'm certain about that. Yeah.
Wow.
They haven't been using these tools on you. so
No,
you're
no,
recovering.
Joe, you would not want that,
So,
my
yeah.
friend. Trust me. No, not at all. And that's the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah,
Oh, well, I
yeah,
think you're
yeah.
probably the best thing that's ever happened to them as
Yeah,
well,
who knows,
Simon.
yeah,
It's fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
I have to show you one more thing before
Go
we go,
on
please.
then.
Yes.
Here we go.
You're
Make
standing
us-
next to it. Funny looking over. It looks
Make us
just
feel
like.
squeamish.
It's like a pepper grinder.
It's exactly what it is.
Oh, it is?
He
Wow.
should be doing my job. It's a pepper grinder. And they found a pepper grinder in the barber surgeon's chest.
Ah.
Yes, they use pepper for medicinal purposes and for cooking.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
What medicinal purposes do you know?
You can sense it. They use it. They thought it cured flatulence. Was one of the reasons they used
Well,
it.
hello.
Yeah. Okay.
Now.
Right.
That's what I've been doing wrong.
Well, God, I know flatulence on board a ship would
Yeah, we
not
can't
make
have that.
you popular, would it?
No, we don't allow it in the museum either.
Fabulous. Thank
No,
you
no,
so,
thank you so much for your
It's been
time.
such a pleasure to meet
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very
you.
much indeed.
One of the things that has struck me is how important, how crucial the volunteers are to this place.
It's definitely something which people are doing and putting together because they love history and they love the idea of the Mary Rose. And when you come here, you see why people are so invested in it and why people want to share it. I imagine it's an incredible place to volunteer because you get to share in that experience that we've had today.
I mean, I think the thing that impressed me as well was just how committed and enthusiastic the volunteers were.
They were incredible. Simon was amazing. But also I can see why they're so enthusiastic because it was so exciting to see. I think it's that Portsmouth thing as well, where Portsmouth's fantastic. So you want to share it with people. And there's lots of visitors from... I was queuing up with some people from Australia. And there's people from all over the world coming. And they're
It's the
finding out how
number
exciting.
one attraction in Portsmouth on TripAdvisor.
Is
I
it? Mary
noticed on the
Rose?
way in. Yeah,
Fantastic.
and rightly so, because there are so many volunteers. It's about 140 volunteers to about 50 full-time staff. So
They could take them in a fight if it came to it.
they could, if they wanted to commandeer the ship,
Yeah.
they could take it over. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, that they really are the public face. They're just there because they love it and they're so enthusiastic.
They're incredible. Well, there's something new to see here.
Oh,
I
hello, this
see-
looks like something.
This looks exciting and possibly dangerous. So I'm excited by that.
I know. I feel that this may be the bit where I get to shoot you
Yeah,
in some awful way. Right.
I hope not, but
Oh, and there's a big
it
bit of
looks
rope.
fun.
Hello, right, let's go and have a look.
We've got a big bit of rope. Some are they longbows? I'm going to say longbows.
Sort of attached to the wall, so it looks like...
And some sharp sticks.
And a sign saying "Smell me," which I might steal and put on myself. Right, okay, I'm going to go and have a sniff. Oh, yeah. God, so we've picked up this rope, which is surprisingly
We look very
heavy.
strange.
And we're now sniffing. We're getting a really good huff of
Smells
this
like-
rope. I think it's absolutely gorgeous.
It smells like the past, like
It does.
history.
Oh, yeah, and it's a little bit tobacco-y. It's like this is like the aftershave that my dream man would be wearing.
That's what a man that smells of rope. That's what
I
we're
really
looking
like a sort of a horny-handed sea dog. That's what I want. And rope and salt and tar. It's gorgeous. I love that. I'm glad that they instructed us to smell it.
for. Can we smell all the things?
Yeah.
Why not? You're smelling a bit of
It smells good.
woods.
Yeah, a bit of wood smells good.
I think this is just gonna.
Oh my
That
god.
doesn't smell of anything.
So we've got a bit of shot here.
It's a cannonball.
A cannonball that is really, really heavy. Go
try
on.
and-
Shall we do a
hold on.
comedy thing where I
Okay.
hand it to you and then you drop it immediately?
Oh, that is heavy.
It's
I
about the
wouldn't want
size of a baby's head. But the weight of
10 babies.
10 babies, yeah.
That is, I would not want that coming at me on a ship.
God, this is great. This has been my favourite table so far. It smells good and it feels
I like
good.
the table's like padded so that you don't damage it when you drop the ball on top of it. I didn't think
It's
we'd be able to touch
amazing.
this. I assumed that everything would be behind glass.
Right, we have had an absolutely wonderful time, and I think we're coming to the end of our visit to the museum. So, Alex, before we go, we would love to see your favourite spot.
Okay, well, we have to walk this way onto
Okay.
an open gallery. So if
Oh.
we pass the fighting top, so that's a crow's nest.
Oh, God.
Yep.
And it's not big, is
We
it?
have to wait for it. Now, the reason why it's an airlock is because you're actually in the same environment as the ship. So you have to think of the whole museum as a sort of critical care unit to look after the cases. You've seen every case, air is delivered.
Well, there's
by
monitors all
gases.
over the place,
Yeah,
aren't
there
there?
are.
It's-
And so
I've had some pepper, so I'm going to be okay, I think.
you've had pepper. We now have to wait for that door to shut.
Oh, this is exciting.
Okay, we're now
Through the airlock?
Yeah, so you can hear now we've got the sounds of the water, but you're actually in the same space as the ship, and from the midpoint of this gallery, you can look down on it as though you're swimming over it and just see it in front of you.
It smells gorgeous.
You can
in here.
smell
That is the first thing that hits you, isn't it?
It is,
Wow.
but that's the wood and the polyethylene glycol, which has been used to conserve the wood.
Yeah.
But you just get the whole feeling of how big it is, and also sort of how big it is, but yet how small it is as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can look at all the decks and
Considering
all
the
the
amount
spaces.
of people who would have been on board, that I've now got much more of a sense of that from you. Thank you.
And this is also my favourite gallery because over there is a bronze gun, and it's the first thing I touched in October 1979 with my first dive. Was the back end of it, the cascabel button it's called, and it was the first gun that we found on the Mary Rose, first bronze gun that in modern times was found in 19.
So you touched that with your bare hands when
yeah,
diving?
bare
Wow.
hands. Yeah. So you've got my favourite gun and my favourite view.
Thank you
And-
for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much for talking to us, Alex. It's been incredible.
I know, well, we couldn't have hoped for a better guide, someone who's been here since the beginning, and hopefully we'll continue to see it evolve and find out more and more.
Hope so. Well, you'll have to come back again, and you being Portsmouth, you should have,
I know, I'm going to
have
be here
no
every
excuse.
week.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
ticket's valid for a whole year, so I'm going to be here every week, I think.
Well, bring your friends. You know, have a comedy jamboree here.
I will, yes.
The thing about modern museums that I love, they are very tactile, and it's, you know, you're thrown in and you're allowed to look at stuff, and we did a lot of touching. I did a lot of smelling.
It was amazing touching a bit of the wood from the ship. I just didn't think that would be
You genuine-
allowed. I assumed, because I remember going to some other museums when I was younger and they had kind of replica things
Yeah.
that you could touch. But this was the real stuff that you could get in there and touch.
Yeah, like, you know, going to a museum is not necessarily about kind of coming away with, you know, 1,000 facts and dates and figures. It's about having had a sort of fun experience, and, you know, maybe peripherally you've absorbed something about it. And I don't think people should be sniffy about that. I kind of felt like when I used to go to museums as a kid, it was sort of not inclusive or fun, or it was definitely aimed at adults and it was up to you to sort of keep up and find something interesting, which I never really did. And now I think I take the kids to museums and it's all geared towards how can we make it a bit more fun and a bit more interactive and exciting, and and you're not telling kids off for, because we used to get told off for touching things or running around, and I mean now
this was the real stuff that you could get in there and touch, which was
and some of it was
incredible.
quite gruesome as well, wasn't it? I mean, I would have struggled a bit, I think, with some of the grislier things when I was a kid.
Yes, those are the things I would have liked. I liked.
Okay.
I had a weird mix of real anxiety about people dying, but also really being quite morbid and liking things about torture and stuff like that. So that was a real contradiction as a child.
Some of it I was like, do I really want to go?
If I
near
get the
this?
gig right in the new Saw film, then I think I've got some ideas.
You really have. Thanks for listening to Meet Me at the Museum with me, Lucy Porter.
And me, Joe Wells, at the Mary Rose Museum in Portsmouth.
If you've liked this episode of the podcast, please rate, subscribe or tell a friend.
Don't forget, if you've got a National Art Pass, you can get free entry or discounts on museums all around the country.
Oh, yeah.